I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the Gospel of John, chapter 11, so let's focus on verses 47 and 48. So the chief priests and the Pharisees convened the Sanhedrin and said, "What are we going to do since this man does many signs? If we let him continue in this way, everybody will believe in him. And then the Romans will come and remove both our place, that is the temple, and our nation." Once again, John chapter 11, verses 47 and 48. Now, in the days of Jesus, the common misconception concerning the Messiah was that he would be a political and a military leader. And that was not just the inclination of the uneducated commoner. It was also the opinion of the educated religious leaders. After all, where did the common people learn this idea? So when the Pharisees and Sadducees rejected Jesus, they weren't rejecting the idea that he would atone for sin. They were rejecting the notion that he was going to be a victorious military leader. Nobody looking at Jesus would think, well, there's our military leader right there. So no doubt passages like Isaiah 53, the suffering servant, well, they were mysterious to them. According to their testimony, the religious leaders were afraid that Jesus would draw the people to himself, and that attention would draw undue Roman persecution, which would be aimed at the entire Jewish community. You see, in their misunderstanding and really scriptural disbelief that Jesus was the Messiah, well, their main concern was that the Romans would disturb or damage the temple, and that its priests would become victims of collateral damage. Consider this from today's chapter. One of them, Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all. You are not considering that it is to your advantage that one man should die for the people rather than the whole nation perish." He did not say this on his own, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the nation, and not only for the nation, but also to unite and the scattered children of God. So from that day on, they plotted to kill him. John 11, verses 49 through 53. You see, there were two high priests who were mentioned in the Gospels during the trial of Jesus. Caiaphas, who we just heard from, and there was another man named Annas. And this is odd because the high priest was to serve for life. But according to Jewish historian Josephus, Caiaphas was Annas's son-in-law. And Annas had been deposed as the high priest by the Roman government for spreading messages of sedition. And he was replaced by his more compliant, at least in the opinion of the Romans, son-in-law Caiaphas. This explains Caiaphas's attitude concerning the preservation of Israel as a nation. Now, as in the Old Testament instances of sinful King Saul and Balaam prophesying amid their unbelief, Caiaphas also prophesied. And because his heart was not seeking the truth, Caiaphas could not understand God's revelation, although he spoke it from his mouth. And when you read God's word, you have to lay aside your personal agenda. Ask God to reveal his way, even if you've learned a different way growing up, so that you may walk in the right way and then lead others on the path of righteousness, which is the essence of Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.